Right. Okay. So when I was thinking about this interview, um, I started volunteering for this project back in the spring. Dennis Downey, I think, reached out and I had time at that point, and I decided it was really important for these stories to be told about all the different individuals that played rugby at Norwich because rugby today wouldn't be rugby today if it wasn't for everybody's individual stories. And Lillian Liu, one of the players right now, reached out to me and Jennifer Johnson, Spieth, remember Spieth?
No.
And asked if she could interview us back in the spring, but it was really busy time and I didn't have time then and I just didn't do it. And I haven't been interviewed for this. I kind of feel like I've been telling my story as I go. But then I realized this morning that maybe the reason why I really never have done one of these interviews is because my story doesn't exist without you. There is no Dee Dee playing rugby at Norwich if there wasn't a Trant. And so it's almost like now we can both of our forgetful minds can try to work together to tell our story because um you are instrumental in Norwich rugby even happening. I mean, we both played our part getting getting the program going. I've been hearing stories about how we recruited that I don't remember doing, but all that notwithstanding, if it wasn't for you, Kate, I wouldn't be where I am today. I would not have graduated from Norwich. I'm sure I would have quit within that first month of MP freshman if it
No,
wasn't for you.
no
Uh,
way.
you are the yin to my yang, and I love you forever, and you know that. And we haven't talked on the like this. I mean, messenger, yes, text, yes, email, whatever, in years, and I feel like I just saw you last week. So with all that, if you like, would you introduce yourself, please, and say what years you played rugby up at Norwich and what position you played?
Yeah, absolutely. So, great introduction. Wonderful to see your face. I
Mhm.
too feel like I just saw you last week. You don't look a day older
Shut up.
than when we were than when we were young. Yeah,
Glasses.
me too. I got them too. So I played rugby at Norwich from 1991 to 1995 when we graduated. I started out as a fullback, I think, and then went to wing, and then fly half. So fly half was the position that I loved the most. You were my scrum half, and I was the fly half. So we were the front and back half of the team, and we kind of did everything we did from there. So it was amazing.
That's kind of like the way it was too. You know, you did all the work and I did all the talking. I took all the credit and you did all the work. It was great. It worked out great. So uh, tell us how you started playing rugby. How did that happen?
So I didn't know anything about rugby at all. Didn't even really know it was a sport. I had never been really away from home very much. And when I got to school, my father, we went to a lot of different schools, checking out different schools. And so we went to Boston College and we were touring the university, and a kid came running out of his room naked and ran down the hall. And
That
my
did
father
not
looked
sit
at
well with
me.
your dad.
Yeah, I looked at my father and he looked at me and he said, "You're going to military school." And I was like, "Okay." And
Wow.
so that's how I ended up at Norwich. And you obviously were my roommate. Um, and when we got there, we were MP recruits, so military police recruits. And it was very hard, very difficult. I was really homesick. Um, and we were just getting hammered all the time as rookies. And so
Hazed. Absolutely.
so we
100%.
just yeah. So we decided we were going to try to do a sport. And the first sport we did was taekwondo. And it was awful because I think it was they made it so awful early on because they wanted to get rid of the people that were just trying to get out of the hallway. And so we went and we just got the hell beat out of us. And then we did a big ruck march and it just sucked. Like it was terrible. And so somehow we found out that there was an opportunity to do rugby, women's rugby, but it was at the other campus.
It was a flyer. We saw a flyer somewhere.
Okay. Okay. So we saw a flyer and we were like, well, let's try that. And the most amazing thing happened, which was We were able to ride the bus 20 minutes over to the other campus. And as soon as we would get on the bus, we would be asleep.
Oh, pass out.
And we would get over there, and the other girls that were on the team were mostly civilians. In fact, I don't know that were there any military when we started,
There was one, Lisa Areola. I don't know if she played our
right?
fall because I think she was an architect, so I don't know, but I know
But
Lisa played.
she was rel you know, she was very cool. And so they would give us snacks and they would give us
Yes.
candy bars, and then we would go eat after we practiced at the dining hall at the
It really
civilian,
eat.
and we would eat everything we could possibly shove in our faces. Then we would get back on the bus, fall back asleep, and get back to campus, and it was amazing.
Well, I mean, a little history there. You had no weight to lose anyhow. I'm sure I did, and I think we both were lost 30 pounds in the first 3 weeks. So
Jeez.
yeah.
And then there were the weekends, and we would go, we would go do games, and we would drink, and that was probably the start of my downward slide into alcohol for a little while, and then but we made it through, and it was amazing. Like, it was amazing to belong to a group like that.
Oh, absolutely. And I don't know about you, but I have not replicated it since.
No, no, I haven't either.
You just
Although
don't
I
find.
remember my dad came to our first game, and he watched it for about a minute and a half, and then went and sat in the car the rest of the time. And so we got finished, and I went over to him, and I was like, what happened, Dad? And he goes, well, he said, all I could see were all these big girls piling on top of you. And he said, I paid all that money to get your braces, and then that's the sport that you pick. So I don't think he ever came to another game.
Oh, I forgot he had even said that to you. That's funny. Oh, your dad was so funny. That's a sport you pick. I can hear him saying that with his accent too. Or his cadence of his voice wasn't really an accent, I guess. No, it was an accent. Your dad had a really thick accent.
Yeah,
That Cape Cod
possibly.
accent. All right, so that's freshman year. There's I definitely remember it was all civilians, Lisa and Aaron. I'm pretty sure Aaron was a civilian, but you're right. They took us in. They fed us. I remember going to the House of Sin for something, Heather's house, and getting in trouble maybe because we shouldn't, I don't know. But there was definitely a lot of fun to be had there. And then fast forward to sophomore year, we're still over at VC. And after having interviewed, who told me? I'm pretty sure it was Trisha Luciano. She told me that you and I went into their hallway on a Saturday morning as they were freshmen, we were sophomores, and their cadre said, all you females get out here. And she assumed it was just going to be another smoke session, but it wasn't. It was me and you. And we were like, hey, we need women to play rugby. Who wants to play rugby? And I guess we sold it the same way. It's over in VC, get out of here for an hour. And four of them, she said, signed up. So that's sophomore year. And so we looking back now, I know we created this dynamic because we recruited these underclassmen that would carry on the same traditions of recruiting other cadets and getting other cadets to play and carrying on, which leads me to AWOL. Do you remember how we met AWOL? Because this is one of the very few vivid memories I do have. Do you remember how we did that?
I don't remember how we met her now.
We
I
were
just remember her.
we were walking down to that ATM down in the bottom of the hill our
Uh-huh.
sophomore year, where what was that little package store in the corner called? Uh, you're going back the back of that hill and you go down. There was definitely an ATM right there, a bank right by the road, and there was the little convenience store. And AWOL was in front of us and a rookie stormers, and she was going to I don't know if she's going to the ATM or not, but we told her to, or she did, and we addressed her. We were like, "Hey, do you do sports?" And she's like, "This recruit does cross country or something." We are like, "Yeah, just end that shit. Just seriously, we want you to play rugby. Do you run?" And she's like, "Oh, yeah, I love running." So that was our introduction to AWOL. I remember that vividly. So we totally grabbed her and we were like, "We need you to play rugby," and she came up, and there's that story. So, all right, I'm getting ahead of myself here. So then that's how you started playing. There's this big thing about nicknames now and rugby and jacket names. You never had a nickname. I never had a nickname.
No,
So we can
no.
pass right over that one. What about favorite memories? What besides that right there, taking the bus over to VC,
So,
thank God. What else do you
so
want to share with us?
I think, I think for me, it was the fact that we were so cohesive as a group. And, in a community of cadets and even civilians where there was a lot of masculinity,
Hmm.
it was really empowering to be a part of a group of strong females. And we had a really good mix of different types of skills. Like none of us were exactly like any of the other of us.
Right.
Like some of us were really fast, some of us were, lifters, some of us were just encouragers. But I really think that my experience with those 4 years, our experience with those 4 years has been, you know, it was always positive, right? Like it was never, it's hard to put a group of girls, especially girls that age, together
Hmm.
without having infighting and, falling apart. And
Sure.
for us, I don't remember us ever, yeah, we might have scrapped a little bit, but I don't remember us, that group of us ever falling apart. And
No.
so like it was always laughter, it was always empowerment, it was always encouragement. There were some crazy things that we did outside of the sports field and some crazy things that we did on the
Hmm.
sports field.
Hmm.
But we always knew we had each other's back.
I,
And like
yes,
I may not remember particular things, but I remember that feeling. And that feeling has, resided with me for 20 plus years now.
I have one pretty good memory of playing, and somebody came down to the pitch and they needed to change. Either they needed to change or they needed to take a piss. And we formed a wall around that female, I don't
Yeah.
even know who it was. And they did what they need to do. And then we went right on to doing whatever it was we were doing on the pitch that day without even missing a beat. There's a lot of just fragments of memories that come to me, especially after
Yeah,
doing
me too.
these and having these conversations with so many different people and hearing things that we did. And I was like, and I just think to myself, wow, that sounds like that was really fun. I just wish I could remember it because that's wow, that's pretty awesome. Think like
Do
that.
you remember the one game where the two girls were tackling? Two of our teammates were tackling and they came from opposite sides and smacked each other and broke each other's noses?
Wasn't that dizzy?
I don't remember.
No,
I don't
I
remember
don't
who. I just
remember it.
remember being horrified.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, we all had our share of horrifications, right? I mean, yeah, yeah. Oof. Um, yeah,
You remember
and
our coach Brian?
I remember that hat
Yes.
forever.
Yeah. I was just gonna say that we were probably really hard on him, but
Oh my
I think he still loved us.
God. We must have been terrible. I mean, I can't even imagine. He must have hated us.
I
I'm
think he
coming
still
off of
did.
this for a second because I have a picture of him, and if it's not right in this file, then I'm gonna come back to you. But I have a picture of him, and he's wearing that hat, and it's just like, yep, that's Brian. And it doesn't look like it's right here. So yeah, so I'm glad you mentioned that. After Brian, who coached us our sophomore year? What was it, Brian's sophomore year too, or was that the year we didn't really have anybody? Do you remember?
Yeah, I don't think we had a coach.
I know Carol and I. So I'm gonna give a little shout out to Carol Swayze here. Our freshman year, I have a picture of you and I on the pitch, and Carol's in that picture, and she's wearing a yellow jersey just like us. So our freshman year, she was a senior, maybe even a super senior, and she was playing. Fast forward to our senior year, and she's our coach. So she came back and she coached us. Now, at the time, I didn't know this, but so rugby started in that 84-85 season. They played, and then I guess it petered out a little bit. And in 90, Carol grabbed a bunch of girls and said, we're playing rugby. And we're going to go and we're going to put together a team. And they did. And that's when we started that spring, no, the fall of 91. So if it wasn't for Carol coming back and pushing everyone back together to get playing and then coming back to coach us our senior year, I wonder
Yeah.
sometimes like where it would have gone. Would it have petered out and somebody came back and picked it up again? You know, you never know. lots of things you don't know about. Like I often wonder, maybe if we didn't play rugby and if we didn't push AWOL to play, then maybe she'd still be with us. So there's always these what ifs of, what if, what if, what if? But yeah. So AWOL, is there anything you want to share about Kate?
So not a story I remember. I mean, I just remember us being together at college, but after we graduated, she went into the Coast Guard. This
Mhm.
isn't a rugby story, but she went into the Coast Guard. My dad always tells the story of she was on a Coast Guard ship going through the Cape Cod Canal, and he had met her many times, over
Sure.
the years with us. And so he always told this story about how he knew it was her because there was one little figure bouncing up and down, waving at him, waving at him, waving at him, and that was Katie. And so he always, that's how he remembered her, and that's how I choose to remember her too. Just full of life and full of energy and full of, hope.
Yep, absolutely. And it'll be next year will be 20 years. It's hard to believe, but 20 years since we lost her. Oh, and I got that. This is my one. These are I just was going through some pictures last night and I love this one. I don't even know where we are in this picture. I don't know whose apartment that is. I mean, that must be one of the rugby girls' houses, but
Yeah,
and that's
sure.
after I got back from Europe because I'm fat and that's that red fleece. So it's definitely our senior year. I love that picture. And then I've already showed you this picture 1,000,000,000 times. This is on my mantle. No, that's me and you. So there's me and you, spring break down in
That's Cape
Florida, right?
Cod. Yep.
Oh, that's Cape Cod. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, then is this one Cape Cod too? Because I thought this was Florida spring break.
No, I think those are Cape Cod, but maybe you're right. I don't know. I
Well,
don't
no, it
even
makes
remember
more sense that
spring
that's a
break, to
Cape.
tell you the truth.
'Cause that definitely does not look like Florida at all.
I think that's Cape Cod because there's other pictures with us dressed similarly in my dad's house.
Because this is kind of fallish for Florida spring break.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking. So yeah, and then there's this picture of Kate that I love with Higgins. She's got a great smile
Yeah.
there.
Yep, she sure does.
And then so our sophomore year, we kind of recruited Puco, Jen Desserhoff, AWOL, Trisha Luciano played. Who's the third there?
Abby.
Abby Ross. And Abby took over and Puke took over after we left. They were president and captain. Um, I forgot that Abby or Puke hurt her knee senior year, similar to how I hurt my leg. She didn't play as much in the fall or because of the knee. But so those are, those guys, I often think like those are our little success stories, those girls.
We were pretty good for not having any professional training or, a lot of resources dedicated to us. And we got to one, I just remember we were in a championship. I don't remember what it was for, but it was pretty late in our career. Do you remember that?
Our senior year,
Yeah.
was it when I broke my leg?
I don't no, not our senior year. I thought you broke your leg earlier than that.
No, I broke my leg our senior year. But no, we were very good. Our senior year, we were in 95, that 95 season, 94, 95 season, we were undefeated. We had 15 games in a row, I think. I'm trying to find. You keep talking. I'm
Yeah,
going to
and so
find.
I just remember going to that tournament, and I think we came in fourth, or maybe we got knocked out in the, before we got to the final rounds.
Right? But the fact that we got there on our own
Yeah.
tells a lot too,
Yep.
because we
Yep.
didn't have any
We
support
had
from
no
your school.
boosters. We had nobody raising money for us. And then the other thing I was remembering was when we went and got our tattoos.
You did that junior year, I wasn't there.
You didn't get a black rose tattoo?
I never got one.
Really?
No, I was gone. That was our junior year. I think you went with Puke. And was it in New Hampshire? Was it that trip?
I don't remember, but I just remember Jen like on the table bawling because she thought it was going to hurt really bad. I think she got hers on her back, maybe.
Hey, and you know what? She told me in that interview that she didn't get the Roman numerals because it hurt too bad.
I didn't get a Roman numeral either. I didn't know that was an option.
I
I don't remember that being
I don't
an
remember
option.
either, but she had said that, and I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I don't know, dude. Yep.
forcing me to wear shorts around my father for years and years and years afterwards until I finally admitted that I had tattoos.
That's mostly the reason why I've never got one because of my mother. Well, my mom.
Yeah.
You know how strong she can be.
Yes.
There it is. Okay. And then I love that picture over on the right. You look so happy there. Do you remember that one? That's our senior year. That's
Yeah.
Julie's initiation with Anne. Um, and that's that picture of Kate and Abby and Puke that I love
That's
forever.
a
It's my
that's a
favorite.
fantastic picture.
So that's that season that you're talking
Yep.
about that we were really good. And see, I'm on
Yep.
crutches.
Yep. There you are.
But I think this article goes on to talk about that season. I think we were 15 or no, which, like you said, is really awesome for a group of girls that knew nothing about rugby and didn't really even have a coach per se. So then when I
Yeah.
left my junior year to go overseas and I came back, I want to stop sharing. Um, stop sharing. When I left, you guys got into some shenanigans, I guess, initiation maybe. Something about a partially clothed game of leapfrog on the pitch and then a dog river run and something about the nursing home that was back there and those people called and reported to the police that there were naked ladies on the rugby pitch and
Probably wasn't the old guys.
no, it probably wasn't the old guys, it was probably the jealous old ladies. Yep. And apparently the whole team got cited for indecent exposure, not individuals. I didn't know anything about this. So when I got back, I know that you and I wrote a letter because my mom shared it with me in the spring, and I cannot find it anywhere. I'm gonna find it before this event. And we begged President Schneider to let us play rugby and to not disband our team.
Yeah.
I I have to find this letter. And he let us play, but we had like super restrictions. I don't know if you remember or not, but I think somebody might have even maybe AWOL was drinking during a game or something and got hurt. I don't know. Somebody got hurt. So we couldn't, one of the deals was we couldn't drink during games, which looking back was like no brainer. Come on, kids. What were you even
Right.
thinking? Um, so so yeah, that's one memory that I have that, we kept the team going. And gosh, there are just so many memories from that season that, like you said, not specific memories, but feelings of belonging and being with your people and your tribe, if you will. And those will carry on for life.
For sure.
So no, I'm not going to even say that. Are there any like lessons that you've carried with you through the years from women's rugby that you've held on to?
Um,
Aside from the friendships, or is there anything else that sticks?
I think the biggest thing for me is like I said, when I first got there, I was very sheltered. Growing up, I was very sheltered. Um,
And you got me for a roommate.
and then I got you for a roommate, and then I and then I joined women's rugby. And like both of those things were um really opened the world for me, right? And prior to that, I just I, I feel like prior to that, my life was pretty black and white. Um, and after that, it really became my choice to experience new things and to try new things and to not be afraid to, try something different. And so I feel like bravery was the thing I walked away from that with, of, just like you said, being among your people and being okay with that, like showing up with your real self,
Mm. And did we ever?
and it was just an amazing time. It was a truly liberating, amazing time, just like college is supposed to be,
Hmm.
despite how restricted we were, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's almost like we went through college twice because we had the core side and then it was the rugby team.
Yeah,
Two totally different experiences. Absolutely. 30 years later. Who knew we'd be sitting around talking about rugby 30 years later?
right.
Hmm. Well, I didn't. I mean, one day we're going to retire on a farm and sit in the front porch and drink our iced tea and talk about the good old days.
Yep, yep,
Oh, your Jeep. Remember your Jeep? That blue Jeep?
yes. Green,
Oh,
yeah,
so now they're a varsity Division One sport and they get flown to national championships, which is nice, right? And they have their uniforms, which is awesome. I'm so happy for them. But do you remember? Do you remember like trying to scrape together money
yeah.
to pay for
We got
gas?
the boys hand-me-downs.
The boys
Got it.
hand-me-downs for our
Yep.
jerseys.
We had to bring our own,
Mm.
rugby balls and cones and all that stuff. Like that was all on us.
Oh, and I spoke to Norm Maple. I had forgotten all about this, but Joe said that or Norm said that he and Joe, uh, what's his last name? Maseretti, artillery, Joe Sergeant. They would
Yeah,
come
I
to our
know.
games and they would uh act like trainers for us if we got hurt. And they were our fans and they would travel around with us. And I don't remember that, but it's just
I don't remember that either, but
good times. Because we didn't have staff, we didn't have support, we didn't anything that we managed to get together is because we did it ourselves.
yep,
That's a good lesson to learn at 18. I wouldn't have wanted it any other way. I wouldn't have wanted things handed to us or just not that they're handed to the kids now, but you know what I mean.
right.
Made you work even harder. All right. So that's it, kid. Is there in closing, is there any other things you want to share with us that you didn't already mention?
Not that I didn't already mention, I just think all you guys are amazing and it's wonderful to see everybody grown up and families and, living their
Kiddos?
best life. And so it is, it's, it's been my privilege to be friends with women such as yourselves.
You as well, kiddo. Absolutely. All right. Well, thank you very much. And
Thank you very much. Thank you for doing all this.
yep, yep. And I'm gonna keep doing this. Expect that weekly check-in. Have you changed your mind yet? Because you're gonna get it. Talk to you soon, kid. Thank
All
you.
right, take care. Big
Bye.
hugs around. Bye.
Yes, absolutely. Bye.